Larry Bramlage with the American Association of Equine Practitioners. He's here to discuss briefly discuss the scratch of Empress of Midway, who flipped in the gate and was scratched shortly thereafter. And the good doctor is here. He's part of the on-call program and has been for several years to be here and advise on horse injuries and mishaps surrounding the races. And we appreciate Dr. Bramlage being here to discuss briefly the situation that led to the scratch of Empress of Midway.
Thanks, John. This will be brief. She just went up in the gate and lost her balance, and she sort of got sat on her haunches and couldn't get herself back in the right position, so the starters had to open the gate. I think you got to give the starters a shout-out for getting her out of there quickly and everybody else being able to run. There's nothing obviously wrong with her. She'll, of course, get a complete exam later tonight, but there's no time with the 12 other fillies standing in the gate or ready to get in the gate to do anything more than just take the safest way out. So we didn't see anything obviously wrong. She's back to her barn.
Any questions for the doctor?
Your perspective there, you mentioned all the horses were in line. You mentioned how good of a job the starters did. From your view, how close were they, or how close was it from that gate opening?
Close to what?
Gate opening.
Oh, the gate opening. I don't really know that. I was too far away to answer those kind of questions. We were watching on the screen and through binoculars since I was in the winner's circle, but she wasn't in there very long, and you have to worry about the horses on both sides of her and the other horses standing there in the gate wanting to run their race. I mean, they're all ready to go. So I think the assistant starters, as they always do, they crawl in those stalls with them. They do a great job. So they got her out. Everybody else got to run.
All good? Any other questions for Doctor? Yes, one more.
Another subject, what's the report on opportunity?
Have nothing to report yet. He had a bone scan this afternoon, but I've been a little busy here.
Question was in regard to Opportunity, who was scratched in the Derby yesterday.
Yeah, what?
All good?
Doctor, after that, it seemed like the 7 was 2.
I don't have my communication is through the veterinarians at the gate, and so they didn't report anything wrong with anybody else. I can't speculate on something I don't know anything about.
Okay. Doctor, thanks so much.
I'll get off
Appreciate
here.
stopping by.
There you go, Steve.
Thank you.
And now to the victors of the 140th Longines Kentucky Oaks. A beautiful performance by Winchell Thoroughbred's Untapable. She wins comfortably, giving trainer Steve Asmussen his second Kentucky Oaks victory. Giving jockey Rosie Napravnik her second Kentucky Oaks victory. Not only did she make history by becoming the first woman to win one, now she's the first to win two. So that's more history today. And to Rosie's right, Ron Winchell for Winchell Thoroughbreds. And David Fisk, I think, is that a trophy you got at the end there? What do you got in the box there?
I think I've got a watch.
A watch. Oh, it's a Longines watch, of course. I'm in sponsored trouble now. I should. All right, let's start, Steve, with you. It's your second Kentucky Oaks win. You won with Summerley a few years back. The way I've heard you speak about this filly in recent months says she's a pretty magical horse for you. And did she surprise you in any way today?
I was so happy to see her show who she is on this stage. Over the winter, the filly has developed tremendously. The first 2 races this year, and I think she lived up to the billing today.
She just cruised around there, perfect spot all the way around. And when Rosie, if she even asked the question at the end of the stretch, I'm not sure it looked so easy, but when she asked her to go, she was gone.
Rosie and Untapable are a very good combination. I think they both have the ultimate confidence, and it shows in the afternoon.
All right, Rosie, from your perspective in the saddle, you had one fewer opponent than you expected to when you first loaded into the starting gate, but as has been said before, it didn't look like there was ever a straw in your path at any point. Was there any concern at any point in your mind?
No, I mean, like Steve said, I think the filly has so much confidence in herself, and we were able to get into just the perfect position. She had a perfect break. She was standing perfectly in the gate, got into the great position. Once she relaxes, once she gets into her position and she gets into a good rhythm, her rhythm is so smooth and so relaxed, and she's just kind of does a little ear twitch and let me know when you want to go.
You worked her on in big works throughout the spring, so you've been in that saddle a lot with her. And as Steve said, you got a wonderful relationship and a good partnership. But how has she developed through this spring up to this moment?
I think her transition from 2 to 3 is just really incredible. I mean, she's grown, she's matured, and she's just keeps getting better.
Mr. Winchell, your name, your family's name has been connected with thoroughbred racing for a good while. Back to the Donut King and your father, and this is a nice win here today in the Kentucky Oaks.
Years.
Has been a few years, and this is a notable win for the family. How does it feel to have this kind of horse, and what does this win mean to you in the Kentucky Oaks?
Man, it feels great. We're here with Summerley in 2005. This is special for many reasons. Tapit being the sire of this horse, the mare being part of the long line of family from the breeding perspective. So very, very important to us.
There was a question I'm sure you will all inevitably get before I turn it over to these guys. She was so powerful today. Would you think about girls next, or you had a little luck with the filly and the Preakness a couple of years ago, Steve? Has that thought crossed the mind yet?
We're hoping to answer that question with Tapiture tomorrow, and it'd be a very wise decision for us to keep them apart.
Gotcha. All right, ladies and gentlemen, questions for each a two-time winner here today. Mr. Winchell, Rosie, and Steve Asmussen. I have a microphone here. We also have a microphone on this side. If you could raise a hand, and we'll get a microphone to you.
This question is for Rosie. Rosie, you mentioned how comfortable Untapable looked the whole race. How comfortable was she in your observations of how she handled the starting gate situation as well?
She was really great, actually. When we went into the starting gate the first time, she went in with a halter and shank on, and we took it off, obviously, as quickly as possible so that we can get out of the gate as quickly as possible, and that's exactly when the other horse ended up flipping back. And then when we took her out of the gate, it was a question of how she might react to that. She was even better, more relaxed than she was before we went in the gate the first time. So, and we actually had to stand in there for a while again because there was another horse that had a minor issue, and she stood like a statue and she broke like very sharp.
Other questions? Here you go. Tim Sullivan.
Steve, in a couple of your back here, a couple of your TV interviews, you referred to winning, quote, under the circumstances. Obviously, there are people in racing who didn't want you here. What do you say to them today?
Well, I'm just glad that Untapable showed who she is. She's the star today, and I'm glad that she came through and showed everybody how special she is.
Rosie, just what does it mean to you personally to win another Oaks, and just what you've established already at this point in your career?
It's an incredible feeling. The first time winning the Oaks was one of my most memorable moments in my career, and having gotten to the race again is incredible, and to pull through with a filly like Untapable, she's so good. I'm just very thankful for continuing to have the opportunities to get to races like this.
Steve, did you have any cause for concern with her in the paddock?
Oh, absolutely. Just it's the paddock under these stages. I don't know what the attendance is today, but the walkover, how much earlier you come over than normal races, gathering up in the chute, walking around, walking over, how many people are in the paddock, all of that does. I mean, she's a very warm-blooded filly, and always eager to show who she is. Well, as Rosie said, once she got out on the track and got a little space, then she was perfect. And then, obviously, the concern of the delay at the start, I was just very proud of how she handled it, and she's now the 140th Kentucky Oaks winner.
Just to answer that question, the attendance today, 113,071, third largest crowd in Kentucky Oaks history. Over here, front row.
Rosie, when you're on the ground out there, have you noticed anything different because of the big board? I mean, it sounds like there's more sound, a little bit more music. There's a really big kind of one big sound, right? And then does the crowd react earlier than than it used to? I mean, it seems that way from the stands, but just wanted your perspective.
It seems like the sound system must have been. I think that it seems like there's a new sound system. It's very overwhelming, but I don't know if the reaction times are different. It doesn't. I haven't picked up on that.
Other questions? Esther?
Ron, can you talk about just the history with this family and owning the mare and your perspective on Untapable? You remember her at all as a foal, as a young horse?
Well, as far as my family's history, it dates back to the 1950s. A horse named Donut King was a notable one during the 50s, I think. 60s. Yeah. And the Dam Funhouse.
And then
She's one of our superstars, and so we always pay a lot of attention to the dams that are the superstars. And David here could probably answer more questions about Funhouse in regards to that.
Oh, sure. Well, by coincidence, we sent Funhouse back to the breeding shed this morning. She was rebred to Tappet at 9 o'clock this morning. So, maybe that was some kind of an omen. But Untapable is about the 4th generation of fillies that we've had out of that family. The 4th dam was claimed by Ron's father in California, and then we've raised the 2nd and 3rd dams and Untapable herself at the farm in Lexington.
Question for Steve, and then maybe if David could give his thoughts too. What do you think about Rosie's performance today in her career, and maybe what she's done for female riders?
Well, she keeps this up, she'll get to charge more. I think that we both have been in this long enough to know that we're here because of Untapable, and she got us here. I think that they both showed how good they are, and that's what today is for.
Back over here.
Rosie, when does it begin to enter your mind, or does it begin to enter your mind about the double now? Especially with the move, off the
I
road.
would have probably started thinking about that after the press conference. No, I mean, I really think Vickers in Trouble has a great shot tomorrow. Everybody's a little bit more concerned about the one hole than I am. But we've got the first half completed, so we're moving on to the next half. Second part of the double.
Steve, it's probably too early to compare, I'm sure, but is there anything about this filly that is similar or that reminds you at all of Rachel?
Well, the question's come up several times this week, and I thought that, Rachel Alexander's coming out party was the Kentucky Oaks for Mr. Wiggins, Hal Wiggins, and, everybody talked about how talented she was before that, and then when we were able to witness Rachel Alexander's Kentucky Oaks, you heard comparisons to Ruffian. So the fact that you are asking her as a comparison to Rachel Alexander, I think, is a great sign.
Tim Lake.
Hey, Ron, during the March controversy, you made a decision to keep all your horses in Steve's barn. Could you explain what your thinking was on that?
Well, the decision was actually pretty easy from my perspective because we have a very long history with the Asmussen family. It dates back to my father, and I've been comfortable with everything I've experienced. I can only speak on things that from my perspective, and if I thought otherwise, we wouldn't be standing here today.
Steve, do you want to offer a defense to the video here, and if not here, when?
I spoke today. It came across on NBC.
Ron, what was your take on and your thoughts on when you saw the video, and do you think Steve was painted in the wrong light in his operation?
I mean, my thoughts are pretty simple. I can only speak on my experience, and my experiences were different than what I saw, and that's all I can do.
Any other questions?
Steve, Rosie, how'd you happen to hook up together with this horse and stuff?
Rosie's rode the last several winters in New Orleans, the fairgrounds. We've had several horses there. I think that that's probably where I first started riding her. She gets along with horses extremely well, and I think that success for both of us have led us to this opportunity. But I think that Untapable showed to be in the best in the race, and Rosie proved to be the perfect rider for her.
For any of you, when you go off an even money favorite in a big race like this, is there as much a sense of relief as there is of a celebration?
For me, I just very anxious for her to show how great we truly believe that she is. You know, the feeling when she's stuck her pretty face in front is what you want, and you want everybody to feel the same way about her as we do.
I think in a sense there's always, you have to run the race before you can find out the result. I went into the Breeders' Cup thinking I was a winner, and that day was completely not a display of her talent, so I'm just so glad that she handled everything as well as she did today, and it just gives me even more confidence in her.
I was very confident coming into this race, and then when we got into the paddock and, there's kind of she got keyed up, I got less confidence, and I think I told David, I said, we've been there, seen that before, and that doesn't end well. But when I saw her come by after she came out of the gate, she looked just like she did in other races and kind of relaxed, and my confidence came back at that point.
And I always hate being the favorite. Favorites only win 33% of the time, which means they lose 66% of the time.
Here in the middle.
Steve, Brett Calhoun said this week that he thought Untapable might be the best 3-year-old in the country. Do you agree? Or?
I think that I'm in her corner. Without any words to anything else, I think Tapiture would have to speed up to catch her, and that's all I can speak on.
Any other questions? Steve, when she drew the 13 the other day, I don't think you were too unnerved, because when you schooled her the next day, you put her in number 13 out here. But was that any concern when she drew outside this week at all for you, or is it just?
Oh, I think you can. The trip that she got was wonderful. I just as Rosie alluded to on the Vickers and Trouble being in the one hole, you're not sure where you don't want to be until after a race runs.
Other question back here?
Just one additional one for Rosie. I'm sure you've been asked this many times over the years, but just what does it mean to you to accomplish what you have, that you're a woman, as in a sport that doesn't have as many women jockeys?
Like I said, winning the Kentucky Oaks 2 years ago was one of my greatest moments. This is probably going to go down as one of my greatest moments. But being the female version of the Derby, it all kind of validates, the accomplishment, and I have so many women out there pulling for me, and people always ask me, how that makes me feel, and it really, to me, having those women and little girls in my corner, it really is inspiring to me to inspire other people, and it really it makes me feel great.
One back here in the back.
Any thoughts of a trip to Baltimore in a couple weeks?
We're hoping for success with Tapiture tomorrow, and I think that it'll feel a lot different come Saturday evening or Sunday morning on what we should do.
Rosie, what's this week been like for you? Obviously, it starts with the because of the suspension, and now you're at this high. What's it been like?
It's Derby week. It's not like anything else. It's there's a lot going on in the mornings. A lot of media that we do, benefits that we do, so it's very busy, and I'm grateful that we ride every day to keep myself in the daily routine and keep focused, and leading up to today is just a lot of excitement, and can't wait to get to the race, but it's very exciting. I'm so happy to be here. Now that I've done it a few times, I don't get as stressed out as I used to. And when you have a horse under you like Untapable, you come in with confidence.
John Clay in the front.
Steve, because of the circumstances as were alluded to, does this win mean any more to you than any other of the big wins you've had?
I think that, the one at the moment is the one you're excited about. I'm sure that we will be just as anxious tomorrow for the Derby and think, it's what's on your plate right there, and that's what we're looking forward to.
Another in the back here.
Hey, Steve. Right here.
Oh, okay.
It's amazing to me to really kind of watch over the years, and watching Temperature here last fall, Untapable here last fall, and then you being able to go to fairgrounds. They stayed sound. They stayed great. Do you give any credit to the fairgrounds surface that you were able to do that?
I think that it definitely the fairgrounds surface this winter was ideal. The work that they got put in this winter, these horses over that surface, I think had everything to do with their development. But I do think that a tremendous amount of the credit for how sound these horses are needs to go to the Winchell breeding program. I mean, I think that their long line of success is the reason we're sitting here.
Steve, if Temperature indeed has to speed up to catch well, how can you justify not taking that horse to the Preakness?
Whatever's best for her. I think the timing of the race and how she comes out and how long she needs between races is going to come first.
Any other questions? Not, that seems a good place to stop. We let Steve actually watch the race instead of divide his attention between watching her win and trying to...
You can't tempt somebody like that.
No, I know, trying to answer questions. So,
I know they show a little bit and then they cut it off.
And then they cut it off. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, Steve Asmussen, now a two-time Kentucky Oaks winner.
Congratulations,
Rosie Napravnik, the history-making second. Ron Winchell, David Fisk with Winchell Thoroughbreds. Victor's the 140th Longines Kentucky Oaks. And again, Mr. Fisk has a lovely watch there from Longines. So.